Hey everyone! So today we're diving into a topic that might sound a little out there, but I promise you it's one of the most practical tools you can have as a parent. We're talking about spiritual development. And right off the bat, let's get one thing straight. This has nothing to do with religion. It's all about the inner work that helps us show up as the parents we want to be, especially when things get
So, what do we even mean when we say spiritual development? I get it. It can be a really fuzzy term, right? It gets all tangled up with specific beliefs or ideas. But today, we're going to untangle all that and get right to its practical, everyday core.
And this is the big idea, right here. We're shifting the whole conversation away from what you believe and focusing completely on who you're being. Your presence, your actions, your inner state. It's about how we actually live and connect with ourselves and our families day in and day out.
All right, so first up, let's build a really solid foundation for what this term means. We're going to strip away all the myths and get to the heart of what spiritual development actually looks like in our real lives.
Here's a definition that I think is just so powerful because it's so simple and honestly universal. It's not a destination, it's an ongoing process. It's about knowing yourself better, figuring out what gives you purpose, feeling connected, and just living with a bit more kindness. It's not some exclusive club, it's just a fundamentally human thing.
And just to be super clear, let's talk about what it is not. Spiritual development is not about joining a specific group or following a bunch of ritual rules. And it is definitely not about pretending to be perfect or always calm. I mean, come on, we're parents. And it's not about pushing away those hard feelings. Actually, real growth means leaning into them and becoming more human, not less.
Okay, so if that's what it isn't, then what is it made of? Well, we can actually break it down into 6 core elements. Think of these as the building blocks for our own inner growth. First up, we've got self-awareness. This is huge. It's basically the practice of just noticing what's going on inside you without judging it. It's that tiny pause when you feel that flash of anger and you ask, where's this coming from? Instead of just snapping. That little moment of curiosity, that's everything. Second is connection. You know that feeling of being part of something bigger than just yourself? That's it. It could be the bond you feel with your family, your friends, or even just that sense of peace you get from being out in nature. It's basically the antidote to feeling like you're all alone in your struggles.
The third element is your inner compass, your values and your sense of meaning. This is all about getting clear on what truly matters to you, not what everyone else thinks should matter. It's where you ask yourself, deep down, what kind of parent do I really want to be? And then you let that answer guide you.
Number 4 is emotional maturity, and this is where it gets so practical for us as parents. It's about building the muscle to handle discomfort, to forgive yourself when you mess up, and to let go of the need to win every single argument. It's the strength to choose kindness instead of getting sucked into all the drama. Fifth, we have compassion and ethics. This is where we turn all that inner work outward. It's about working on our empathy for our kids and for others, and really taking responsibility for how we impact them. It's about doing the right thing because you care, not just because you're following some set of rules. And finally, number 6, inner practices. These are the actual tools you can use to grow. Things like mindfulness, maybe journaling, or just making a point to spend some quiet time outside. These aren't religious rituals. They're just practical, personal ways to work on those other 5 elements we just talked about. Okay, so we've laid the groundwork. Now let's pivot and bring all of this right into the messy, beautiful, and sometimes chaotic world of parenting, because this is really where these ideas come alive. So here's the bottom line for us as parents. Spiritual development is the inner work that keeps us anchored when the storms hit. It's what helps us parent from a place of real meaning and connection, even when we are totally exhausted, triggered, or just plain overwhelmed. It's not about what we believe, it's all about how we show up.
And this really boils down to asking ourselves some pretty powerful questions right in the moment. When your kid is having a full-blown meltdown in the grocery store, you can ask, who do I want to be for my child right now? When you feel that frustration bubbling up, what values am I modeling with my reaction? See how those questions can totally shift you from just reacting to being intentional? Now, this next part is a really, really important distinction to make. People often mix up emotional development and spiritual development, but they're actually different. And understanding that difference is, well, it's a total game changer. So let's start with emotional development. This is all about the skills for handling our feelings. It's things like recognizing, oh, I'm feeling angry.
being able to name that feeling, and then having the tools to calm yourself down or express it in a healthy way. It's incredibly important stuff.
At its heart, emotional development is really about answering this one question: what am I feeling right now, and what am I going to do with it? It's very tactical, you know? It's about managing that immediate experience you're having inside.
But spiritual development, it goes a layer deeper. It doesn't just ask what to do with the feeling. It asks who you're choosing to be while you're having that feeling. It connects that moment to your core values, to the bigger picture of the person and the parent you really want to be.
So you see, these two things aren't fighting each other. They're partners. They work together. Let's take a look at how that actually plays out.
Check out how this works. Your emotional awareness is the part that says, wow, I feel really angry right now. That's the raw data. Then your spiritual choice comes in and says, okay, I feel that, but I'm going to choose not to act from that anger. Or your emotional awareness says, my child is completely overwhelmed. And the spiritual choice remembers, my child is worthy of love, especially right now. One gives you the information, the other gives you your direction. And this brings us to the main takeaway of this whole conversation. Emotional development gives us the tools, the breathing exercises, the ways to name our feelings. But spiritual development, that gives us the compass. It tells us which way to point ourselves towards kindness, towards connection, towards our deepest values. You absolutely need both to navigate this journey of parenting.
So let's bring this all home with one final crucial point. At the end of the day, our kids don't learn about this stuff from what we say. They learn it from who we are. Our way of being is the most powerful lesson we will ever teach them.
So the final question I really want to leave you with is this one. In the heat of the moment, when the pressure is on, when you're exhausted and triggered and it all just feels so hard, who are you choosing to be? Because that choice, right there in that moment, that's the heart of parenting with a compass.